Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Kopi With Wawan. It's a series that I started because I wanted to discuss topics that I find interesting, from like films to pop culture, music, and everything else in between. Now this is a special episode where it's in collaboration with the Skinny Bakers, Alligator, and Zee Avi. Now Skinny Bakers is an awesome company which sells cookies such as the movie theater caramel popcorn, and of course we have, the typical classic chocolate chip cookies. You can't go wrong with that. Alligator, on the other hand, they produce really awesome and inspiring artwork like you can see over here. So if you guys want to find out more about our two collaborators, all of it's in the description box below. Just have a look and you'll find out more about them. Now the theme of this episode is on the song by Zee Avi, which is called Who Are You? Now the song is all about us embracing ourselves, our individuality and everything that's unique about us. So it's an awesome song. If you guys haven't heard it yet, please check it out in the description box below, because otherwise I'm going to be singing it here out loud and you guys don't want that. Today's guest is Larissa Ping. She is one of the many amazing people who was featured in a music video. Now she represented Malaysia in the 2018 Miss World Beauty pageant. In this interview, we discussed things such as her experience during the pageant, her cultural heritage, and her dealing with being a public figure now. This episode was shot here at my humble studio. This is episode 4 of the Who Are You series with Larissa Ping. For the song by Zee Avi, the Who Are You? Yeah, you were in the music video?
Yeah, for a short moment.
For a short moment, but still, you were in the music video.
I'm so happy to be part of it. And
okay. How did you get involved in that?
I think someone from Zee Avi's team messaged me, and that time I was still based in Kuching. So he said that, oh, you want to be part of the music video? And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. But the thing is, I don't know if I'm going to be in KL for the shoot. So happened when he told me about the dates for the shoot, I arrived in KL on the same day. So on the shooting day, I flew to KL, and right from the airport, I just went straight to the studio to shoot the video. And it was a very short one, but also a very fun one. And I managed to meet Zee.
Oh, you managed to meet her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Were you a fan growing up?
Yeah, I went to one of her concerts when I can't recall, maybe I was 11 or 12 at that time.
Oh, wow.
I think I was 12. Yeah, and it was in the old Dewan Undangan Negeri. And at that time, my dad, I don't know how did he get the tickets for me, but like he managed to get tickets for me to Zee's concert. And I was so young that time, and I was so impressed because Zee could speak Chinese.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and I remember the whole experience. It was really, really fun. My favorite song was Kantoi.
Oh, okay, that's my favorite one too.
I think that's everyone's favorite
song. I think so, for very obvious reasons,
yeah.
right? It's like you're imagining somebody, if you mess up with me, I'm gonna catch you in the act. I see. Okay, so the song Who Are You? Can you tell me like a favorite line from the song that you like?
It says something about fear is future events already ruined.
Okay.
And I'm like, it makes sense, because when you get scared of something, whatever events or whatever is gonna happen next wouldn't really work out because you're scared and you have fear. So I think that line really spoke to me.
Would you say that a lot of us are dictated by fear in life?
I guess so. I mean, at least me. Like there were so many times where I was so scared of trying, or scared to, try something new. I'm always so comfortable that, there's always people providing for me and not having to make my own decisions. But I think along the way, as I grew up, there's so many times where I had to face my fears. I had to do it, or not, all these things wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you say facing your fears, you joining a beauty pageant on a world stage as Miss Malaysia is one of those things that you did, because you're making it sound as though like, oh, you've never faced fear or you're scared. And here you are, you've done something that I can't even imagine what that would be like.
I mean, of course there are some days where you feel scared, but like, I think growing up, my parents have taught me to like always, just go for it. If you don't go for it, you wouldn't know. And I was 19 when I joined Miss World, and like, to me at that time, it's like, okay, if I win this, it's like almost impossible, because there are so many other contestants who are, who has experience, and I'm just gonna do my best. And I was the youngest contestant at that time, and I'm contestant number 1. What are the odds of contestant number 1 winning? Usually winning a competition, right? So like, of course, the fear was there, but I think what kept me going was, the thought of me I'm just gonna do my best, because if that's my best, and if I can win it, then that's great lah, because I really did all that I can at that time with like, the least experience, the least knowledge, and I just learned along the way. Facing fears, I mean, it's still tough for me now, but I've learned a way to like, found a way to go about it, and how to, give myself some encouragement to just go with it.
That's cool. So you grew up in Kuching, Sarawak, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Okay, so you know what? Malaysia, right? It's such a diverse place, you know? I mean, so you having to kind of like represent the country on a world stage like that, do you feel pressured in any way at all?
Of course, the pressure is there. Like, everyone is counting on you to, like, you know, at least get placement or things like that. But during my whole experience, I try my best to represent everyone and, like, not just represent like one, you know, just one ethnic group or, you know, just being very picky lah. So I tried to inculcate all different kinds of culture, you know, colors, dance, music. So yeah, I really did my best. So in terms of pressure, it was okay. I handled the pressure well, and I'm really glad that, you know, a lot of people gave me a good, you know, feedback saying that thank you for representing us. Like, we really felt as if we're really represented lah.
So were there any backlash in any form? There was no drama in your year, right? Or like there was something?
In terms of drama, like girl fights, I don't know of any, because I'm a type of person that, you know, I try to avoid dramas and things like that. So I'm always the last to know about dramas. So
Smart.
yeah, backlash, that's something that I can't control because everyone has their own opinions about stuff, and everyone will always say that, oh, you should do this, not that, you should wear this, not that, and why do you look like that? You don't look like a beauty queen. No, so everyone has their own standards of what a beauty queen should look like, and like, I think if it wasn't for my family, it would be kind of hard on me. Yeah, because it was so sudden, you know, like I won overnight and then suddenly everyone's like, you know, commenting this and that, you know. And yeah, everyone had their own opinions, but I had family members who really supported me, like, through everything, and they always tell me, like, you know, don't spend your time reading comments because it's not gonna help you at all. And I really took the advice. I really don't read comments, and, you know, whatever good things they say, I just reply, say thank you. And yeah, I think that really put me through and really helped a lot.
Right, yeah. Because it's easy to comment something negative, right? And especially in like the culture that we're living in.
Yeah.
You know, you could put up a face, you could have an account, but end of the day, you don't know
Yeah,
whoever this person is. They can insult you easily.
Yeah, I mean, most of these people who give, you know, bad comments or try to demotivate you, they're all fake accounts. You know, like, most of them are fake accounts.
Made
and
by the competition, maybe?
Maybe, but, you know, some people, they just don't dare to, like, be upfront about it, you know. So, like, I mean, I appreciate, like, comments, but, you know, I appreciate, like, constructive criticism more, and, like, if there's anything for me to fix, I would definitely fix it, because who knows, maybe they know more about pageants compared to me. Yeah, because I'm new to the industry, so yeah, it's a lot to do with, like, adapting to new things, new situations. Yeah.
And that's fair though. Okay, so here's the other interesting tidbit that I found about you, that you're a mixed child, right? You know, you're of Kenya and Chinese.
Yeah,
your
I always
dad?
tell people that I'm chicken, you know?
Chicken.
Chinese. Oh, that's
I
so
see it,
lame,
I
but
see
like chicken. That's really
Chicken.
lame. I tell that lame joke everywhere, but yeah, I'm very proud to be
That's
like
a new
both.
one. That's
Yeah.
a new. I've not heard that one yet. You know, I've heard Chindian. I've heard. Okay, so can you please educate somebody who's never heard of you know, the Kenya people, or like, you know, say myself before this. Honestly, I don't know much about that. You know, so you guys are from Sarawak, part of, like, you know. Yeah.
So the Kenya is indigenous tribe in Sarawak. It's a very small community, and like, my village is in Baram. So you know where Miri is?
Yep.
Yeah. So from Miri, you use the logging road. It takes about like 7 to 8 hours to reach my village.
7-8 hours.
Yes, and
There is no other way.
There is a longer way by boat, which takes days.
Oh
so
my goodness.
you might want to use a car.
Have you traveled by boat there?
I have never traveled by boat. Yeah, but ever since, you know, sadly there's like deforestation. But because of that, we had a road to go to my village, because they had logging, you know, lorries and stuff. So yeah, that's one of the fastest way, I would say, to get there. But my mom is actually a quarter from Longsan. So Longsan is a more modern village. It has a school, it has an airport, so you can also take the plane.
Okay,
yeah,
to get
but
there.
it's a very small plane. So yeah, Kenya is very rich in culture. We have a lot of dance, now music. So if you know the sape, that if you
No,
might have seen
I
me
don't-
play
I think
the
I've
sape.
seen the sape, but I'm not.
So
is
that's
it,
our traditional musical
yeah.
instrument.
It's like a guitar, right? Or
Yeah, it's like a wooden guitar with like I play 3 strings. Some people play
3
4 strings. Yeah.
Okay. So how is it different than say a traditional guitar or?
It has very limited frets, I would say, and like you can't play it like an actual guitar unless you make it like one. Some people they modernize the sape and they put 6 strings so that they can play it as if they're playing a guitar.
I see.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
actually, if you can play the guitar, you can definitely play a sape. It's very simple. Yeah, it's just learning the tunes, and that part would be quite tough if you're not really familiar with the music, everything. But for me,
Folk songs.
how I learn sape, I just learn it by ear.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So
you're one
I-
of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I listen and then I play because it's hard to put it in notes. It's not like a piano where you have like A B C D, until B.
Right.
Yeah, so like for sape, it's a very limited note unless you put in frets. Yeah, I wish I brought my sape and I can like show it to you.
How it goes,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's cool. Okay, so it's interesting because now that you're saying it's limited in terms of notes and stuff, right?
Mhm.
So what I know when it comes to something of like music or traditional music, there's would you say part of the reason why it's not in written form is also because it was mainly oral tradition, the way it was taught? And
Yeah, and also that's why because it's passed down like that. A lot of other, some other music were not passed down, and we miss a few. So like nowadays people just sing like the common ones, and only the older people would know, other songs that are more traditional, and the language is more sophisticated. For me, people like me, like I can only understand that much of the Kenya language. Yeah, so I only learned the ones that are like simpler, but that's sad lah, you know what I mean? So like I'm just doing my part so that I have enough knowledge to pass down to the next generation. 'Cause
are there a lot of young people who actually play that type of traditional instruments?
I think nowadays sape is pretty much a thing in Sarawak, and
Okay.
a lot of people, even though they're not Kenya or they're not Orang Ulu, they pick up and play the sape. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why is that sudden change? Is it because Grant Gus?
Uh,
He's like,
he got married to a Sabahan,
I
not
know, I
Sarawakian.
know. Okay. Oh, you had to call me out for that. You had to call me out for that.
But I think
But Borneo, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
People
yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
embrace that bit of that culture.
even
Suddenly
like
it's
Henry
cool
Golding
again.
having that,
Right.
the traditional tattoo.
So he is Sarawakian or
Yes, he's
Sabahan?
a Iban.
He's Iban.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think a lot of artists, they inculcate sape into their music and make it modern and make people feel interested to listen and to play lah. So actually a lot of people, they play more of the modern sape as compared to the traditional one that I'm playing, because like I said, I play like 3 strings,
Three
right?
strings, yeah.
So a lot of them play like 6 strings. So actually there's quite a conflict with that, like people modernizing a traditional instrument and stuff like that. But at the same time, I feel glad that people are picking up the sape. But I do have a small advice, like if you want to play a sape, make sure you know how to play the traditional tunes before you learn, all the other modern music. Because I think it defeats the purpose if you
Just
play a
completely
traditional,
modernize it? Okay.
you play a traditional musical instrument and you don't know any of the traditional music. Yeah.
You're talking about the songs that goes with
Yeah.
the music and stuff. Okay, that's very interesting.
But there are a lot of younger kids, and now there's even a band in Sarawak. I think they consist of all high school students, and they play all traditional music. Even Jatong Utang, that's like a very traditional marimba, and then they play the sape and they play other instruments from other tribes, the traditional songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So see, here's the thing. I find that it's interesting that we're living in a very globalized world right now. So identity crisis has played like a huge role in all of our lives. I think. Was that something that you ever struggled with?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I always question like, who am I? What am I gonna do after this? I actually took a long break after SPM, just figuring out what am I gonna do next. And I'm glad that my parents supported that, because I know I have a lot of friends who have parents who want them to do what their parents want, and it's
Right.
not what they want. And I'm glad my parents really gave me that time to know myself even more, and I really appreciated that time because it really helped me to pick the right path and to figure out what makes me happy and what I love doing.
Right, so that led to the beauty pageant.
Not really, but Miss World, it was a very shocking decision, especially when my family heard it. They're, what, you're gonna join a beauty pageant? And I'm like, well,
Typical Asian
yeah.
parents'
And
reaction.
I was 19, and I took another long break from studies.
Because of,
Because I felt that if I worked or do more community outreaches, it would help me to identify myself more. So at that time I was in Kuching, and how it happened, how all this thing happened and changed my life is because Miss World Malaysia organized for the first time in Kuching. Yeah, so I felt like maybe I should take the chance because I've heard of Miss World for a very long time because of Dewi. She was a representative in 2014. Yeah, she's Sarawakian, and she was like my inspiration lah actually. So I felt like, okay, I'm just gonna try it to see if beauty pageants is for me, because I was still trying out many different things. I was working as an event crew. I was, doing tuition, private tuition, things like that. So I was doing all sorts of things. So I thought, okay, maybe I should join beauty pageant and see how it goes.
Right. Right now, you're studying law, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm reading law.
Okay, how did that go from beauty pageant to law student? How did that even...
The thing about me is I have too many things that I love. I love music. My mom was a air stewardess, so I love being on planes. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a lawyer. All sorts of things. But I think what made me choose law was because I stepped into this whole industry, the entertainment industry, and I realized that law plays such an important role, especially when you want to be a public figure. And I struggled with a lot of contracts and so many things, and it was I always wished I knew the law better, and I wished that I didn't agree into something without consulting someone, because it could really make or break you sometimes. So I realized that law is important, and I work a lot with underprivileged children, and one of the reasons why they're still like that and not having the opportunity to advance is because they don't know their rights, and there's not many people out there who's gonna go there and tell them that this is your rights, you should fight for it. It's a whole realization that I need to do something about it. Yeah, so that's why I choose law, because I know that there's so many people in Sarawak that needs somebody to help them and to also help them fight for their rights, because they are most of the time voiceless.
So I just want to go back to Sarawak and stuff. So I'm quite interested in what exactly that entails growing up there. So one of the things I'm wondering, do Kenya have a lot of folk laws or folk tales that you grew up with?
Yeah, they definitely have a lot, but because I'm mixed Chinese and Kenya, so sad thing is my mom doesn't really speak Kenya to me, and my dad also doesn't really speak Chinese to me, so we speak English at home. Yeah, so I hear a lot of stories from my parents and my grandma, and they tell me a lot to do with how our culture has evolved over the years. And my grandma actually doesn't really tell me folklores, but she always tell me about her stories about the Japanese occupation. Yeah, so and the reality back then. So yeah, that's usually what my parents will always tell. And then how my mom go to school, because being in a village, you go to school by boat sometimes, and you have to be in, what do you call that,
Hostels?
Boarding school. You have to be in boarding school for months, and you can't go back. You can only go back twice a year to see your parents. So those are the stories that usually my mom or my grandma would tell me, as compared to folklores. But yeah, I think if they never told me the story, I would never really appreciate it, the opportunity to go to school, because it was way harder back then.
But do you think folklores are something that's important to a culture and for people to identify who they are, though?
Yes, I do, and I feel sad that I don't really know much. Yeah, but one thing I really appreciate is because my mom really emphasized on the importance of preserving our culture. So I started traditional dance since young, and now we grow up, and not many young people know the traditional dance or the traditional music. So yeah, it's kind of sad that all these small things are slowly dying, and not many people have interest to learn more about it. And I also think it's because of modernization. A lot of people just want to get out of the village, you know, leave their past behind, traditions behind. And yeah, I always feel that people who want to learn about the culture are always people from the outside. You have all these people from European countries coming over, learning more than the people themselves. So yeah, that actually just gives me more motivation to learn more about my culture. And I'm only at the beginning, so
So there'll be more
Yeah.
stuff from you? Would you like
Of course,
like
yeah.
write like an entire film based off like the Kenyah people?
I
As well?
really wish I can do that and like craft something out, because I think they really depend on younger generation to, you know, continue to pass down these cultures and tradition and to get more people to know about it.
And I think it's important for us to know, like you said, you know, the actual tradition, that you understand its spirit, you understand its core, right? And the other bit that I really like that you mentioned, then there's nothing wrong with modernizing something, but you
Yeah.
have to understand its original
Yeah.
core and its original essence. Like, I think one of my favorite shows out there right now that really captures this. Have you ever heard of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yes,
Did you watch that growing up?
I watched it when I was young, but oh my god, I can't remember the whole plot.
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
I recently watched it with my nephew.
Oh, that's
who's like,
nice.
yeah, he's like 8, right? And he thinks the show is amazing. But I think it's amazing for a whole different reason, because, you know, you understand certain contexts that an 8-year-old may not catch immediately.
Yeah.
They think it's entertaining. But for me, there was just so many layers, even in terms of, you see Asian culture, that's very, very clearly Chinese or like, you know, Southeast Asian, and you see all this kind of like traditional like the sape.
Yeah.
So I'm like very ignorant, as you saw earlier with the whole like, you know, you called me out that Greg Gus married a Sabahan, right? So I remember I made a similar comment when I saw the show. I was just like, hey yo, like Sarawakian, and somebody, my brother-in-law corrected me on that. I was like, dude, like, you know what, you need to know your stuff
Yeah,
better.
I mean,
So-
I think a lot of Sabahan or Sarawakians here in KL, they always spend a lot of time explaining to people like,
The difference.
yeah, like this is Sarawak, this is Sabah, and this is what we have, and this is what they have, and a lot of people don't know, and yeah, they always blame it on the advertisements. I don't know.
It could also be the lack of interest, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
If you're not interested to know, or you think it's not relevant to you,
Yeah, I also
therefore-
think so.
Yeah. So it's look, it's similar. Malaysia is so rich in the sense of, if I were to go Kelantan, I'd be lost in translation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know,
Yes.
I would just go there and I'll probably just, I'll just stare
Yeah.
into space thinking like, oh God, what did you just say? You know,
Yeah.
and it's not like you don't understand Malay, but they use certain words differently than you, and that small difference, just makes it a lot more interesting, I suppose.
Yes,
You know, and it's
yeah.
not a bad thing. You know, would you say that
Yeah,
we're
it's not
so
a bad
diverse?
thing.
Like, so would you celebrate diversity in the country?
Well, of course. Like, I'm really glad that I'm from Sarawak, because in Sarawak, there's no problem being with, you know, other races. And we even have a Chinese kopitiam that sells, you know, Malay food, Indian food. So, like, it's really not a problem there. And everyone there just, you know, accepts everyone for who they are. And I really never faced, like, racial discrimination back in Sarawak. As compared to KL, there are a bit of friction, you know, here and there, but I'm really grateful also where I'm studying now. People are very accepting, and I hardly get questions like, you know, really
Weird ones.
really weird ones like, do
Right.
you talk to animals, or
Have you got that before?
I've got those kind of questions. Yes, I've got. I was shocked. I was like, did you really just ask me if I talk
Wait,
to
who
animals?
asked you this? Like Malaysians?
Yes.
Where are they from? Do they live in a cave or?
One day I was in a cab, and then, you know, this uncle just said like, do you guys have highway? And I'm like, yeah, we have highways. And he just went on and said like, okay, so what about your outfits? Do people still wear, you know, leaves? And I'm like, uncle, I'm wearing clothes, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know if he said that to offend me or anything, but I do feel that he's a bit ignorant. And when I talk to my friends about it, you know, it's always the same case for them. They always encounter some people like this, yeah, who don't really know about Sarawak, or, you know, choose to not know and ask really ridiculous questions. So, I mean, for me, I do my best since I'm here to share, you know.
Educate.
I'm more than happy to educate people about our culture. And yesterday I was performing sape, and a lot of people saw sape for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're
okay.
like, I've never seen anything like this. I've never heard anything like this. And yeah, I would definitely want to, you know, visit Sarawak one day. I'm like, yes, please. we are
Definitely
always, you know, gonna welcome you with open arms.
Right. The last time I was there was about 4 or 5 years ago. I'll definitely give it a go sometime soon.
Yeah, of course.
Just to
Yeah.
have So if you were to give like one advice right now to young people out there who's struggling in finding themselves, you know, and specifically when it comes to culture, race, and identity, you know, they're asking themselves, am I Sarawakian or am I Malaysian? Am I this or am I, am I Chinese or am I Malaysian? Am I Malay or,
I face that myself, and I think I've learned to embrace both sides of my family. I'm Chinese, I'm also Kenya, and like I'm proud, you know, to be mixed, you know, even though there's not many people like me who are chicken, you know, and like I'm so happy because like I get the best of both worlds. So you shouldn't just pick one. Or, you know, after all, we're Malaysians. We are bound to have mixed marriages, and everyone's gonna be different. And we just need to embrace both sides and embrace, you know, the true Malaysian self. You know, being Malaysian is all about being accepting and being able to adapt to things, and also being proud of who we are, because there's not many places like Malaysia. They're so diverse, you know. And yeah, I have friends who are, you know, they're Malay from KL and they're mixed Iban from Sarawak, and I'm like, that's a beautiful thing. I say, why do you say that? You know, it's so weird. To me, it's so beautiful because you get to, you know, you get to experience both cultures. Yeah. So my advice would be, you know, just embrace whatever you have. Yeah, because there's not many people like you. You're unique. You know, there's only one person who's gonna be like you, and that's you. And just be happy and be proud of who you are.
Keep that in mind. So if you were to describe yourself in one word right now, at this point of your life, what would you use to describe yourself? What word?
So the word that I would describe myself would be daring, I would say, because like growing up I faced a lot of fears. You know, like many teens, I was bullied. Like many people, we have our own, you know, challenges and things that we doubt ourselves. So I think being daring has really helped me to push myself forward. And like I said again from Zee's lyrics, I would want to quote it again: for fear is future events already ruined. So you don't want to ruin your future just because you're scared. So you have to be daring enough to face whatever that's ahead of you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Larissa. That's
you're welcome.
all the time that we have for today. Anyways, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay, guys. That's it that we have for today. You know, any last word?
Well, I just want to say, so to all of you out there who are, you know, facing a lot of challenges and trying to identify yourself, don't be afraid, because I think this is something that everyone faces. It's really normal to be, you know, blurred out for sometimes, and you really don't know what's ahead of you. But don't feel scared to take the step forward, because that's gonna bring you somewhere, definitely closer to where you're meant to be in future. So go for it and always trust yourself, trust your instincts. Yeah, all the best to you.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Larissa, and thank you, guys. Until the next episode, guys. Bye.
Hi guys, the series of podcasts was brought to you by collaboration between me and the Skinny Bakers. It's to promote positivity and love for yourself, and also delicious cookies. So who doesn't like music and cookies, right? Don't forget to check out Skinny Bakers with their new flavors: French butter cookies, sea salt pistachio, their bestseller salted caramel chocolate chip cookies, and my personal favorite right now, fruity pebbles. But hang on tight, guys, because Skinny Bakers and I are going to come up with our own special flavor that's coming soon. So watch this space. All right, till then, see you guys.
Because I think generally with especially in our society, we're constantly being told like, oh, you know, if you're a woman, you're supposed to be this way, you dress this way, you act this way, you work this certain job, you know, you're either a housewife or, you know, this and that. So we're constantly, or not even just as a woman, but as people in general, we're constantly being told like, no, you do this, no, you do that, or if you do this, that's wrong, or if you do that, it's not accepted, you know. So